Okay, so good evening, everyone. No? So for today, we're going to discuss about the threats, vulnerabilities, and attacks. No, and this topic focus on the threats. No, wherein these are the potential causes of unwanted incidents that may result in harm to system organization. Let's say katulad po ng malware, hackers, and natural disasters. We also look into the vulnerabilities, weaknesses or gaps in the system that can be exploited by threats. No, example, pwedeng outdated software, weak password, unpatched system, and attacks. No, action taken to exploit vulnerabilities with the intent to cause damage or gain unauthorized access, like phishing, denial of service, and SQL injection. And to give us more details about the topic, let us all welcome our presenter. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir, and good day, classmates. Today I am excited to introduce to you. I know that for some this topic is already known, but let's try to expound it. Let's try to expound our knowledge a little further. All right. Today we will be discussing threats, vulnerabilities, and attacks. So let me start off with threats. So what is these threats? Cybersecurity threats are malicious activities designed to exploit vulnerabilities and compromise digital systems, networks, and data. So in layman's terms, threats in cybersecurity are these are malicious activities. Pretty much these are the um, activities being done online to do some harm into not just in our system, but of course in our personal life as well. And what are these threats? Under these threats, we have malware, phishing, ransomware, distributed denial of service attacks, insider threats, social engineering, credential stuffing, data breaches, advanced persistent threats, network and application attacks, and AI-powered cyber attacks. So let's discuss this for us to know more about these threats. Okay, let's start top with malware. So malware includes viruses, worms, and spyware that infiltrate systems and steal sensitive information. So a good example and a pretty well known malware that we've experienced is the I Love You virus. I know that this is pretty common to us since we all know that the creator of this virus came from the Philippines. So, what is this I Love You virus? It was a computer worm that infected over 10 million Windows personal computers. And after 5th of May 2000, started spreading as an email messages with the subject line I love you and the attachment love letter for you dot txt.vbs. So during this time, May of 2000, it says here that it infected over 10 million, not just here in the Philippines, but also worldwide. I believe that most of the infected computers are from the US. So this really became a popular issue in cybersecurity. Next is phishing. So what is phishing? This is deceptive emails or websites tricking users into revealing personal data. So up until now, we are still seeing a lot of phishing, especially in our social medias. Like whenever we scroll, we see some ads that when we click, it will take us into some websites. So, sometimes it is even disguised as our bank like the bank page. Say for example, BDO, you will see there like BDO is giving discounts, or not really discounts, but um an application for a credit card that can be easily approved. But once we click, it will ask for our personal informations without us knowing that that is not a legitimate website coming from BDO. So one of the most popular incident that involves phishing is the Nordea Bank incident. It is dubbed as the biggest ever online bank heist. Phishing emails containing Trojan viruses that installed a keylogger into the victims' computers and directed them to a fake bank website where hackers intercepted login credentials. So same thing in here. Before it is kind of hard to spot if it's a legitimate website coming, especially coming from a bank. Sometimes when we just open our web browser, go to our search engine and we search, say, for example, BDO, or in this case, Nerdia Bank. Once we um, visit the website itself, the very first result that we see on Google, that's the very first one that we click without us knowing that it is not a legitimate one. So the effect of this is that they installed keyloggers, so the hackers can take all or can take note of all the things that you are putting in into that website. So very traumatic for those who got affected with this, especially this is their bank, so most likely it is their money that has been taken. Um, Next is ransomware. So for ransomware, it encrypts data, demanding payment for decryption. One of the most famous incident of ransomware is CryptoLocker. So CryptoLocker was a ransomware attack that targeted Microsoft Windows computers. It utilized a Trojan that encrypted files and demanded payment for their decryption. The attack is believed to have begun around September 5 of 2013 and continued until late May of 2014. So what's happening into this crypto locker? Say, for example, you have this important file of yours. They are actually encrypting it, and for you to access that, they will ask you for some money before they decrypt it. So a really witty thing to do, but not really being um. I mean, it's not being used in a good way. Next is distributed denial of service, DDoS or DDoS. Overwhelm system with traffic, making them unavailable. One of the biggest incident that happened involving DDoS is on October 23rd, Google mitigates 398 million RPS attack. In October 2023, Google claimed to have mitigated the largest distributed denial of service attack ever. A HTTP/2 rapid reset attack that peaked at 398 million requests per second. So what's happening in here is that this is like a spamming of request, which pretty much causes some delay. And on this one, it says rapid reset, so it's actually causing some rapid reset onto their system. That's why Google is not functioning really well. All right. Next is an insider threats. So insider threats is an attack carried out by individuals with legitimate access to a system, such as employees or contractors. One of the popular insider threats that happened is on May of 2022. A research scientist at Yahoo named Kian Sung stole proprietary information about Yahoo's AdLearn product minutes after receiving a job offer from the trade desk, a competitor, a trade desk, which is a competitor. He downloaded approximately 570,000 pages of Yahoo's intellectual property to his personal devices, knowing that the information could benefit him in in his new job. So basically, insider threats, there is a person inside the company who is trying to do some harm, taking advantage of his access or on the company assets that he has an access to. So into the scenario, Kian Sang stole it by downloading all those proprietary or intellectual property from Yahoo's, and pretty much what he did is that most likely he presented it into his new employee or new employer. I mean, which given him like an advantage, most likely because these are secrets, these are trade secrets, these are um intellectual property of Yahoo itself. All right. Next is social engineering. Exploits human psychology to trick users into revealing information or performing actions that compromise security. One of the um, popular incident is from Toyota last 2019. So Toyota Bushoku Corporation, an auto parts supplier, was the victim of a social engineering and BEC or business email compromise attack in 2019. The money loss amounts to 37 million US dollars using persuasion. Attackers persuaded a finance executive to change recipient bank account information in wire transfer. So what's happening in here is that in Tagalog, this is more like budol. It says here it exploits human psychology. So they are trying to trick the person, right, to use something into their advantage. So what happened in here? They're trick uh someone from this Toyota corporation. So instead of processing their payments like BAU, they trick him into wiring the money somewhere else. So it's chaotic. Next is credential stuffing, using compromised usernames and passwords to gain unauthorized access to accounts. All right, one of the popular incident is in 2018. The Ticketfly platform was a victim of credential stuffing attack, leading to the exposure of the data of 27 million accounts. The attacker exploited the vulnerability in the platform's website to gain unauthorized access, impacting thousands of consumers and event organizers. So, as the definition says, compromising username and passwords. That's why these days, um, the creation or account creation now requires us to or recommends us to at least get a strong password. Sometimes it don't even allow or it doesn't allow us to put in or to key in such a simple passwords like password or common words like 1 2 3 4. They are recommending us to do like a combination of special characters, small letters, and numbers. Next is data breaches, unauthorized access and theft of sensitive information. One of the popular incident is an attacker may take a list of usernames and passwords obtained from a breach of a major department store and use the same login credentials to try and log in to the site of a national bank. Actually, this is not like a popular incident that happened, but this is what is normally happening when a data breaches is being done. All right, next is advanced persistent threats or APTS, stealthy long-term attacks targeting specific organization. One of the popular incident that happened that involves APTS is Stuxnet or Stuxnet 2010. This highly sophisticated worm targeted Iran's nuclear program, specifically the Natanz uranium enrichment facility, causing significant damage to centrifuges. So with this one, um, I don't know, maybe we can call this like, I mean, for this example, we can maybe call this one something that has been done with good deed since I believe that it is the US government along with the Israelis who performed this APTS. Their goal into this is to disrupt the Iran's operation in creating nuclear bombs. Next is network and application attacks using compromised username and password. Oh, hold on, just 1 second. Let me just skip this one out first. Sorry. AI-powered cyber attacks, unauthorized access, theft of sensitive information. So in 2017, a phishing campaign was discovered that utilized artificial intelligence to deceive Google Docs users. Cybercriminals created a malicious application closely resembling a legitimate Google Docs tool, but it actually collected user information and sent it to a server controlled by the cybercriminals. So with this AI-powered cyber attacks, this is pretty much the advanced way for them to get a hold of our personal information. As you will notice in the example that was given, or in the issue that happened last 2017, what the hackers did is to they created an application that closely resembles the Google Docs, right? So us, the end user, without knowing, we are pretty much entering our personal informations into that Google Docs, especially our company information. Say, for example, we're doing some results for our businesses or companies without us knowing that that is just a counterfeit website or counterfeit application. So the effect of this is that um, they can gain access, or they can get a hold of your or of that information. Let me just go back to the network application real quick. All right, network and application attack. So this is exploiting vulnerabilities in network infrastructure and software application. So what's happening in network and application attacks is that, as mentioned, it is taking advantage of the vulnerabilities on the network or on the application itself. If you could recall the games that we used to have, like the what do you call that? The shooting game that we had before. I think that's called Special Force. Back in the days, this game doesn't have like any layer of security. If there is one, probably it's very minimal, that you can literally create a cheat inside the game using cheat engine. So that's like an issue with their system design or their application design that people are taking advantage of. So what happened is that I believe they hired Vanguard um to eliminate that issue. All right. So let's now go to vulnerabilities. So vulnerabilities in cybersecurity, a vulnerability is a weakness or flaw in a system, software, or process that can be exploited by attackers to gain unauthorized access or cause harm. So these are the examples of vulnerabilities. The first one is unpatched software. Not installing security updates or patches can leave system vulnerable to known exploits. So I used to remember when we when people or when it's really broad that people are using a counterfeit OS or counterfeit Windows OS. One of the things that they avoid to do is updating the software itself. It is known that once you update your software, Microsoft can detect your counterfeit license, and um, they can pretty much restrict you from using it. So one of the no-nos back then is to update your counterfeit OS. Um, the bad side or the downside of this is that if you are not updating your operating system, you are vulnerable to a lot of attacks online, especially that hackers do upgrade their knowledge and tools. Especially now, we now have like AIs who can help them. So not updating it. That's why back in the days we see a lot of viruses. We do have a lot of um cybersecurity issues um because we are not a fan of updating our operating systems. As simple as that. All right, next example of vulnerabilities is weak password. I know at some point in our time we are all guilty into this. Easily guessable or reused passwords make systems susceptible to unauthorized access. Um, I know that in some point of our time, we use the password admin or the password 1234 in one of the accounts that we have just for us to easily remembers it, or especially at work when we have like a lot of tools that we need to open. I am guilty myself, especially when I still work in a BPO industry. We have like 20 to 30 applications that we need to open, and all of that has their own like different username and password. What we normally do is that we just put in our name and then we add some numbers, say for example 1234, and the next application or the next tools that we need to put in some password, we just type in 12345 just for us to easily remember it. All right, and next is phishing attacks. These are deceptive emails or messages can trick users into revealing sensitive information. So we all know the main goal of this phishing, or um, what they do in this phishing attacks is that they send or they um, what do you call this? They hide and they mask themselves as someone or um as a website, as a legitimate website. Say, for example, um, a bank website or a bank application, BDO. Normally, what they do is that they will trick you, or they will send you an email stating that they were from BDO, and then you need to log in your account to resolve some late fees or charges. And you, without knowing, you will log in, you will key in your credentials or your bank informations, and then after a minute or two you can know you no longer have any access and your bank account is wiped out. All right, another vulnerabilities is SQL injection. Attackers can exploit vulnerabilities in database queries to gain unauthorized access or manipulate data. So for SQL injections, normally the ones that are being targeted in here are our databases. That's why um even even if a company has like millions of databases, all right, they don't think twice whenever they were advised that you already need to update your database. Say, for example, you need to transfer or you need to have a new software that will manage your databases. Once they were told that they need to do it, I do understand, or I do know that big companies do not hesitate to do it because once their database has been infiltrated, all right, chances are the whole company will break down. So this is something that they take really seriously. Next is cross-site scripting or XSS. This attack allows attackers to inject malicious script into websites, potentially stealing users' data or hijacking user sessions. Um, so for cross-site scripting, this is I mean the concept is the same as the SQL injection, but the one that is being targeted are websites. Right after the vulnerabilities, we have cyber attacks. So what are these attacks, or what is cyber attacks? Cyber attacks is malicious attempts to gain unauthorized access, disrupt or damage computer systems, networks, or data text. All right, what are the example of these cyber attacks? We have malware, we have phishing, we have ransomware, we have the DDoS, man in the middle, and SQL injection. Along with that, we also have this XSS, which we have just discussed, the insider threats, social engineering, DNS spoofing. By the way, this DNS spoofing is one of the trick that they're using to do phishing. The example that I'm giving out earlier, wherein users are being tricked that the websites that they are logging into is a legitimate website. Zero-day exploits, it says here, attacks that leverage vulnerabilities not yet known to the vendor or public. So these are like flaws in the system that hackers are taking advantage of. We also have crypto jacking, using a victim's computer to mine cryptocurrency without their consent. Um, just to give you like a real life example of this crypto jacking, way back when I was still working in a BPO, I think this was year 2017 or 2018. This is where this crypto jacking is really popular. So we are seeing like a lot of websites wherein all you need to do is just to log in, create some account, and there is just some line in there that you need to activate. And once activated, it will automatically mine um some Bitcoin. I forgot if it's Bitcoin or something else. But what it's do is that or what we normally do is that we do it in our office, since in our office we have like a good GPU and a good internet connection. So we are trying to earn some money using our company's asset. But after a few months, I believe after 2 to 3 months, it has been detected. Our IT team says that they are getting a lot of bandwidths or larger, an enormous difference from what they are usually getting. And they found out that most of the agents on the floor are using a crypto jacking websites to earn some money using the company's asset. Although no one was reprimanded, no one was really caught. What they did is they put some restrictions into accessing these crypto jacking websites. All right, malware. We have already discussed this one. A harmful software designed to damage or disable system, including viruses, worms, and ransomware. We also have supply chain attacks, compromising a software or hardware vendor to distribute malicious updates or products. We have Internet of Things based attacks, exploiting vulnerabilities in Internet of Things devices. We also have AI powered attacks using artificial intelligence to enhance the effectiveness of cyber attacks. And lastly, we have credential theft and abuse, stealing or misusing usernames and passwords. So, why are the hackers doing these cyber attacks? So, what is their motivations for cyber attacks? Of course, they can have financial gain, stealing money, selling stolen data, or demanding ransoms. They can do disruption of services, damaging or shutting down system to cause disruption or chaos. Espionage, stealing sensitive information for political or military advantage, just like our example earlier, the Stuxnet. Hacktivism, attacking system to promote political or social cause. And what are the consequences of these cyber attacks? For financial losses, it damage, provides downtime and recovery costs. For data breaches, exposing sensitive information leading to identity theft and privacy violations. Reputational damage, loss of customer trust and brand value. Legal and regulatory penalties, fines, and other sanctions for non-compliance. And for the legal and regulatory penalties, for some other countries, they actually have a hefty amount of fines and penalties once your data, or once there are data breaches that happen, or once your system or your database has been attacked. Say for example, your or the personal information of your clients has been exploited. All right, you can I mean the penalties can be a huge amount of money. So they are really taking this seriously. Right? For disruption of or lastly for the consequences, disruption of operation, interruption of services, and loss of productivity. All right, the next topic that we will be discussing is vulnerability management life cycle. So for vulnerability management life cycle, the first one is we have this one should be assess discovery and vulnerability. Oh, sorry, yeah, it's asset discovery and vulnerability assessment. Identifying all IT assets like our hardware, software applications, and cloud environments, etc., and scanning them for potential vulnerabilities. Next is vulnerability prioritization, determining the criticality of identified vulnerabilities based on factors like potential impact, likelihood of exploitation, and business criticality. Remediation and mitigation, implementing solutions to address the identified vulnerabilities, such as patching systems, configuring security settings, or developing compensating controls. Verification and validation, ensuring that remediation efforts were successful and vulnerabilities have been effectively eliminated. Monitoring and improvements. Continuously monitoring and effectiveness of the vulnerability management program and making necessary adjustment based on feedback and changing threat landscape. Reporting and improvement. Communicating the status of vulnerability management efforts to stakeholders and identifying areas for improvement in overall process. So what are these vulnerability management life cycle? Um, Based on the steps that it actually provided, this is to determine the vulnerability of the system that the company or that the corporation is using. This is how they are discovering their vulnerabilities. This is how they assigned or prioritize the issue. Say, for example, they assess which one will or which one is the issue or the vulnerable, which one is the flaws that they needed to urgently take actions. All right. And then next is that they do some remediation and mitigation. And then for the verification and for the verification and validation, of course they need to make sure that everything in the remediation and mitigation has been successful. Monitoring and improvements, definitely once they verify that the solution that they provided to eliminate these vulnerabilities will continue, right? Of course, they need to continue monitor and provide improvements into it. And lastly, reporting. Of course, the higher ups needs to know what is happening. All right, next is this OWASP top 10. So in the cybersecurity world, we have this open worldwide application security project. So what is this OWASP? These are group of individuals, so highly intellected individuals who is pretty much setting standards, right? Or spreading awareness for our cybersecurity. All right, so let's go over the slide. So the OWASP Top 10 is a standard awareness document for developers and web application security. It represents a broad consensus about the most critical security risk to web applications. The Open Worldwide Application Security Project is a non-profit foundation dedicated to improving software security. So what are these top 10s that they spread awareness? All right, to give recommendations to those to our cyber security individuals. Or so these are like templates that they can follow. Right? So these are the current top 10 that they have as of 2021. They have this AO1 2021 broken access control. So the description of this is that users can act outside their intended permission. So what's happening is that, say for example, in an office setup, all right, example, I am just an agent and I shouldn't have an access to the to changing passwords of other agents. Sometimes there is like a flaws into the system wherein um when I try changing the password of my colleagues, it's giving me access to do so. All right. So this is something that our cybersecurity team should should take a look at. Right. We also have the AO2 of 2021, cryptographic failures, formerly sensitive data exposure, inadequate protection of sensitive data. An example of this is storing password in plain text or weak encryption. As I've said, I am guilty of this. I'm using a very weak password um, for my tools way back when I was still working in the BPO. Next is AO3 of 2021 injection. Description: attacker sends malicious data to an interpreter. An example is an SQL injection that reveals or manipulates database data. Next is AO4 of 2021 insecure design. Description: flaws in design or architecture that leads to vulnerabilities. Example: lack of secure authentication flow in application. Next is AO5 of 2021, security misconfiguration. Description: incorrect or default configurations leave system vulnerable, leaving default admin credentials unchanged. This is why it is important that our cybersecurity team is putting like a recommendation, actually not just a recommendation, but a must thing to do, that they need to change password, or employees need to change their password after a certain amount of time. Say for example, after a month or two. AO6 of 2021, vulnerable and outdated components. Description: use of components with known vulnerabilities. Example: using outdated libraries or frameworks without security patches. Just like what we had as an example earlier for um, caught, but the downside of it is that it's not getting the right um, security features or security update. And the effect of that is that we are being prone into a lot of viruses or hacking. Next is AO7 of 2021, identification and authentication failures. Description: weak authentication and session management. An example is allowing brute force attack due to no rate limiting. A good example is of this is that if say for example in a computer shop you forgot to um, remove, say for example, just your username, others might try to uh, access your account by trying couple of passwords. And if the system doesn't have like a security wherein it will automatically lock out, or it will not what do you call that? But if the system does not have the security to, it's like a fail safe that if you fail to put in your password, say for example for like tries, the system should no longer allow you to do it. If the system doesn't have that, the attackers or the hackers can try several password, and at some point in time they can log in or they can guess your password. Next is AO8 of 2021, software and data integrity failures. Description: code and infrastructure not protected against integrity violations. Good example: auto updates from an unsecure source. Next is AO9 of 2021, security logging and monitoring failures. Inadequate logging and monitoring, hindering detection of breaches. An example: no alerts when attacker tries multiple failed logins. And lastly, um, A10 of 2021, server-side request forgery or SSRF. Description: an attacker tricks the server into making unintended requests. Example of SSRF is accessing internal systems via crafted URL. All right, so thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you learned something about threats, vulnerabilities, and cyber attacks. Thank you po.
Thank you so much. A well comprehensive discussions of the topic, no? Again, as our presenter mentioned, no, in the realm of cybersecurity, understanding the intricate relationship between threats, vulnerabilities, and attacks is important for developing a strong defense system. And these three concepts, no, from a backbone of information security risk management, because sabi nga ng presenter natin, a threat is a real potential danger that can exploit a weakness in a system, no, leading to possible harm or loss. Threats can originate from various sources such as malicious hackers, insider threats, system failures, or even natural disasters. No, identifying threats early on allows organizations, no, to prepare and develop appropriate countermeasures to protect their assets. Vulnerabilities, on the other hand, are the weaknesses or flaws within a system that make it susceptible, no, to threats. No? And these weaknesses can be the result of outdated software, misconfigured system, no, weak password, as our presenter mentioned, or inadequate security policies. So even the most advanced system can become vulnerable if they are not properly maintained or monitored, because it is the existence of vulnerabilities that creates opportunities for threats to materialize, no, into actual security incidents. Therefore, a significant part of cybersecurity efforts is focused on discovering, no, assessing, and mitigating these vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. So, when a threat successfully exploit a vulnerability, an attack occurs. No? Attack are deliberate actions aimed at causing harm, no? Stealing information, disrupting operations, or gaining unauthorized access to system. Common types of cyber attacks include phishing, malware infection, denial of service attacks, ransomware, and SQL injection, among others. No? So, excuse. The consequences of successful attacks can be severe, no? Ranging from financial loss and data breaches to reputational damage and legal penalties. Actually, no, in many cases, organizations fail to recover fully from major cybersecurity incidents. So the interplay between threats, vulnerabilities, and attacks emphasizes the importance of a proactive cybersecurity posture. No? The most uh, threat actors are constantly evolving their methods to bypass security defenses, which means that cybersecurity must be dynamic and adaptive. No? Regular system updates, vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, and employee training are some of the key strategies that organization must employ to minimize risk. No? Additionally, having a well-developed incident response plan ensures that your company can quickly contain and recover from attacks when they occur. Because it is also important to understand that not all threats will result in attacks and not all vulnerabilities will be exploited. The likelihood of a successful attacks depends on various factors such as motivation of the threat actor, the ease of exploiting the vulnerability, and the effectiveness of existing security measures. Because cybersecurity professionals use risk assessment to prioritize which vulnerabilities need immediate attention and which threats pose the greatest danger to their system. So to cut in short, no, the relationship between threats, vulnerabilities, and attacks highlights, no, the need for comprehensive and continuous cybersecurity efforts. No system is entirely immune from risk, but with proper identification, assessment, and mitigation of vulnerabilities, organization can significantly reduce their exposure to threats and prevent many potential attacks. Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility that requires vigilance, collaboration, and commitment to ongoing improvement to effectively protect sensitive data and critical infrastructure in the digital age. Okay, I think that's it for this topic.